Well, that was fun. Probably the Sharks' best performance of the year, beating the Vancouver Canucks 4-3 in what was only could be called a thrilling third period. But we'll talk about that and more after this. But first, if you want to be a part of the show and join the Chompversation, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app, and of course here on the YouTube chat. Of course, you can follow us along on the social media platforms, that being X, Instagram, Facebook, the YouTube chat, of course, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, all of that and more at tealtownusa.com. And if you're willing, we'd love a shout out or a drop out over on Venmo, Teal Town USA, and that's where we're at. But it was a fun evening, and I don't know that I was really ready for that. But honestly, it was a great win by the team. As the broadcast had mentioned early on, it was one of those kind of full effort nights by the boys. You felt that the team actually came out and decided that, okay, we're going to, try and stand toe to toe with the best team in the Pacific Division, and the second best team in the Pacific Division. Sorry, Vegas. But I mean, honestly, they came out tonight with some good authority, and really played toe to toe with one of the better teams in their division. I mean, a team that had come and previously, just destroyed them. That 10-1 shrubbing. And then a little bit of some brouhaha going on up in Vancouver when they were there just last week. So again, the boys put in a solid effort, and I just cannot be, I cannot stress that enough. I mean, this looked like a different team, and again, it seemed like they had kind of been building off of the Montreal game from yesterday, in which they put a very good effort up. And even before that, at the beginning of the week when you had the Vancouver game, they really did a decent job of keeping up then, not having enough skill power to necessarily beat the Canucks in Vancouver. But tonight, just consistent line-to-line action. I felt every single line was cohesive, one shift rolling into the next. There was a little bit of touch and go as far as the scoring back and forth, but I felt that every time the Canucks brought something to the table, and as far as like mounting more effort or more pressure in the zone, the Sharks had an answer. They would come back with another decent shift of their own, and really just playing at a good pace with the Canucks. So again, I really cannot stress enough how well the team played tonight. Very much a complete mirror opposite of how they started the season. And to me, as I've been preaching all along, I just want good habits. I want good efforts. I want the team to be really cohesive within their own zone and really taking care of each other. And of course, helping out their goaltender. And I felt like this was the first time this season that we had actually seen, a really solid effort in both the offensive zone and the defensive zone, and in the goaltending as well. The goaltending was very good. But let's get into it. In that first period, Ty Emberson with his first goal, and that came 9:58 in the first. Tomas Hertl and Mike Hoffman getting the assists there on that goal. And that one, was a kick out back to the point. You had Ty with the big slap shot, and Tomas, there helping out, kind of being in front of the goalie's eyes, but a really great top corner shot. And this is why, you kind of take a flyer on a guy like Emberson, who's got a little bit of offensive pop. You put him in a position where he can start to drive a little bit more offense from the back end. And I think you're going to see these kind of contributions. I think, he's got a little bit of offensive acumen, maybe not to the level of Addison, but again, I think this is a guy that you can kind of build along, who can be very, very competent as a second pairing offensive driver. And again, I really love to see the defense being involved. I felt the defense in the last five games has really started to pick their spots when they're pinching better. You're starting to see the defensemen further up the ice than we did at the very beginning of the season. And it's just kind of been a little bit of an evolution. Of course, losing EK and rejiggering the defensive structure was going to present some challenges, right? I mean, guys are learning their new positions. Guys are not accustomed to the workload that has been placed upon them because of departures of former players. So seeing the young kids step up, and especially on the back end, really driving play is a good sign. And it's one of those building block pieces that you need to have in order to continue to have the team grow. And it's one of those building block pieces, as I said. Jerry F., thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Always coming through with the super chats. $5. My son and I are celebrating a rare Sharks win. Thanks for consistently great coverage. Well, thank you for being one of our best consistent fans. We love you, Jerry, and really appreciate it. And again, we haven't had a lot to look forward to this season. We haven't had a lot of things to talk about in a positive light. But when they do come, and when you do have these kind of whole team type wins, that's what you use to build upon, and that's what you use to teach. Now you have film of good habits. You have film of what you're supposed to be doing. Yes, it wasn't 100% clean. Right. And I think, again, that the Sharks in general, it's a work in progress, and we're probably, in a 5-year rebuild plan, we're probably in like year 3, right? Where we're just getting into the heart of adding core players, newer core players, adding young talent and stocking for when the team does hit critical mass. We're not there yet. There's still a lot of things that need to be taught to this team. And I think that there's still going to be a lot of pain going forward. I mean, this team is, when you look at the center depth, I mean, Hoffman and Granlund played a hell of a game tonight, but for most of this season, he had been pretty invisible. And then Nico Sturm, of course, getting, taking the personal leave, and then having a shot block and having some issues tonight. So again, that center depth, you wonder if that's, if that's going to present itself a problem as we go further into the season. Still no Logan Couture, but again, it's just. It's just something for concern for the future, because, having Tomas Hertl take 80% of your offensive zone starts is going to wear him out very quickly. So, again, I think we can take the victory tonight and use it as, hey, this is how you need to play. This is how you play against top teams. But again, let's not fool ourselves. It's a long season. The Sharks are where they're at. But again, we can take the little victories, and you can start to see what the Sharks want to do as far as how they need to play in order to win, and what could be future traits of success coming into the fold. So again, let's take it in stride. We'll enjoy this one tonight, but again, Monday is going to be, coming back, and you've got a Washington team that's resurgent coming into the tank, and that's going to be a different ball of wax to try and contain that team. So, again, good job by the boys. Great to start on time. Of course, in that first period, the Canucks would end up scoring on the power play, and that is one thing I do want to bring up tonight as kind of a warning spot. But Filip Hronek with his second of the season, and that would make it 1-1 at 15:37. Oh, Denver Doyle, thank you so much for the super chat, saying, why can't Granlund play like that more often? I don't know, Denver, but it was nice to see tonight. And again, we really do, kind of count the good days that he has versus, the bad days, because it seems like there's more bad than good. We got one of the good ones tonight. We did have a disallowed goal in that first period by the Vancouver Canucks. That one was a sneaky good challenge by the coaching staff, and the coaching staff, can also be commended for really doing a good job picking their spots on the challenges this year. But you had a little bit of a clip of Kaapo Kähkönen in the blue paint. The Vancouver player coming in did skate to skate lock and did kind of cause Kakko to kind of lose his balance trying to go down into the butterfly. Toronto concurred with the assessment that the Sharks had made, that it was some contact, and the team was able to get that goal erased. And I think it was one of those early momentum setters for the Sharks. Once you have your coach really chipping in there with the extra, give Coach Quinn the assist there, or the video coach the assist there on the takeaway. But again, I think that after that happened, the Sharks kind of settled in. I think Kaapo Kähkönen also did a good job of just kind of tracking the puck. His rebound control was very good tonight. I felt that he was kicking out the rebounds to his players. Still a little shaky on the on the playing of the puck. It's still a little bit of an adventure when he roams out and tries to play the puck behind the net. But again, you like to see the aggressiveness, and you like to see him with some confidence. So I'd rather him be doing that than be, a shrinking violet there and in the crease and, backing up onto the goal line or what have you. So again, some good play by Kähkönen tonight. And leading us into the second period, Fabian Zetterlund would get his fifth of the year with an assist by Tomas Hertl, his 12th assist of the year. And Zetterlund, again, a guy that was part of the Timo Meier trade, a guy that you bring in as part of a younger up-and-coming pool. And I think for me, Zetterlund is starting to turn into a little Timo light. And maybe a guy that, New Jersey would have liked to have kept around, because from what I have seen, he's been a very good spark plug type player, a type of player that seems to just be a pest to the opposing team, and somebody who's got a little bit of a scoring touch. So I don't know. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Zetterlund so far. And I think that he could turn into a nice little second line player if he continues this offensive trajectory that he has. But again, 5 goals so far this season, not bad. If he could pot 20 this year on this team, I think you'd call that a success. And I think that you call that as a good little value piece that was added to the deal. So again, good to see Zetterlund on the board. Good to see him playing with some confidence. And again, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the player. Excuse me. But somebody was asking, what is the deal with the graphics? Well, the Sharks actually had in-game. It was like retro video game night. Gaming night was the actual event this evening at the Tank, but it was very retro themed. So I don't know if you could hear it through the broadcast, but there were a lot of synthesizers playing 8-bit type character music. They also remixed some of the some of the normal songs that we hear during the presentation of the game, with a little bit of a synthesizer. So again, it was a very cool little homage, and thank you, Puck Guy, for putting together some really nice graphics. And definitely brings me back to my Super Nintendo days. If you can believe it or not, I'm one of those elder millennials, so I grew up with a SNES first. My favorite memory, of course, is popping in Super Mario World and just hearing that intro music at the very beginning. Yeah, that's just pure joy to me. So again, it was fun, a little bit of nostalgia, and a great presentation by the SAP crew as always. Again, they always pull it together pretty well, but this nice little retro night was cool to see, and great to hear all of the chimes and all of the noises that were going on. So pretty awesome. So good on the staff. But getting back into that second period, Brock Besser would equalize late, and one of the bad traits of the Sharks has been a propensity to give up goals at the beginning of periods and at the end of periods. And we'll talk about it again towards the end of the next period. But I don't know if it's looking past the team and looking for the intermission or for the end of the game, or if it's a natural tendency to let up, or if it's just score effects, showing themselves at the beginning and ends of periods. But this has been a consistent problem for this team since, I think since the end of the DeBoer days, right? And during Bob Bugner's reign, it was pretty much consistent that at the end of the second period, at the last minute, you were going to see a goal and give up a cheapie. And again, you want to see the team start and finish period strong. That was not a strong finish to that second period. So again, a cause for concern, a thing that they continue to need to work on. And again, just need to sort out their own zone when time is expiring. I feel as if the defensive matchups kind of go by the wayside. You start to see the players kind of drift from their marks and just give up open ice too easily. They don't contest their own ice at the ends of periods, and it's just maddening. It's so frustrating because you see it. It's like a train wreck right in front of you. You see the team come in on the half walls or take it behind the net, try to do some type of lateral movement to get their to get the goaltender moving from side to side, and they end up potting one. So that is definitely going to be one of those key points that the team is going to need to work on. And it was on the power play. And again, this would be the second goal on the power play by Vancouver. And it was talked about a few games ago, actually, by the broadcast crew. But even during the doldrums of the Bob Bugner era, the team on the PK was consistent. It was always consistently top 10, at times top 5, but to be 28th right now, I mean, they might even be, after tonight's game, they might even be ranked lower. But I think that this is one of the worst penalty kills we've seen from the Sharks in a long time. I think it was maybe one of those Thornton Western Conference teams that had just, it was something like a 25th ranked PK, but the power play was ranked something like number 2. And then it kind of flipped where they overemphasized the PK and underemphasized the power play. And you are now just seeing both sets of specialty teams just not be very good. So I'm concerned. I think the team will probably be concerned. The Sharks did get a power play goal in the third, but special teams is just one of those things that if you don't consistently win, it will bite you in the butt. And the law of averages will say you'll lose more games than you'll win if you lose the specialty teams battle. Luckily, the Sharks didn't lose. Luckily the Sharks did not lose tonight, but they did lose on the specialty teams battle. In that third period, 22 seconds in, Granlund gets his first of the season with Calen Addison and Mario Ferraro getting the assist there on Granlund's first goal of the season. And had Denver Doyle had said, and I think it was Iman and a couple others in the chat, this was probably the best game that Granlund's had as a Shark. And I don't know if he, had some extra Wheaties this morning or, he decided to do some Pilates or whatever, had chicken parm if he's a Bucci fan, a Bucci Gross fan. But, whatever he did, keep doing it, boy. Because, again, if you need that center depth, the team is thin as it is on the centers. And if you can continually get that kind of effort, Granlund could do some rejuvenation of his career. Mind you, I'm not sure, where he's going to end up next season, and what he's planning on doing as far as, continuing his career or deciding to hang him up, but he's played a lot of hockey. And you wonder if just Father Time is just catching up. And we'll see. But again, good to see at least, some good effort today. Then Mike Hoffman would get his 6th of the season on the power play at 1:48. So the Sharks would score 2 in pretty rapid succession, and that would give them a 4-2 lead. Granlund coming in with the assist and Addison getting an assist. So, Calen Addison tonight having a 2-point night, which was great. Tomas Hertl had a 2-point night. Granlund had a 2-point night, and I think Hoffs had just the single goal tonight. I think he was close to a second. But, the main drivers of the team doing the work here. And when you're a team that doesn't have the talent of your fellow compatriots within your division, these are the type of the gritty wins that you need to have, in which all of your top players are playing at their best. Hertl definitely played well tonight. I felt that as if he was a presence on the ice. I felt that he, really has shown through this season particular what type of leadership skill he has to lead a team that is not expected to do a lot, quite frankly, to lead a team that is as bad as it is, but to continue to put in the work, to continue to see the effort and continue to see the passion that he displays. I really do think we're seeing him grow into the more complete player that we wanted him to be, earlier in his career. So again, good on Tomas tonight. And we're really happy and really proud of his career, and I hope he continues on this trajectory of completing the rest of his play, and really bringing his whole complete package up to a top center type level. Although the Canucks would make it interesting, and like I said before, I had teased it out a little bit at the ends of it, but we did have a Brockbuster goal at 16:49, his 15th of the season. Miller and Pettersson would get the assist there and would make it 3-4, and that was with a 6-on-5 attack. And for me, once this goal was scored, prior to that, the prior 2 or 3 minutes, the Sharks were kind of on their heels. They did seem to kind of relax a little bit after Hoffman's goal, and for whatever reason, there's that natural tendency to kind of let your foot off the pedal with that 4-2 lead, and a 4-2 lead, it's kind of like a 3-1 lead, right? It's those 2-goal leads that you just never feel safe with. I didn't feel comfortable throughout the last 5 minutes of the game, regardless, because of how much how much incoming rubber the Canucks were putting at Kähkönen. So I felt as if the Canucks were going to equalize. I won't lie. I told you, I was kind of preparing myself to come on and to be like, well, they played well through spurts, and you can see kind of what the architects, and you can kind of visualize what the team is trying to do. But, surprise, surprise, the Sharks ended up holding on. And I think we got to talk about the goaltending, and we got to talk about the work in which Kähkönen did tonight. He would end up the night with a .912 save percentage, and you would stop 31 of 34. But again, when Kähkönen plays with confidence, and when he plays bigger than his body, and he's a large fellow, 6'3", 6'4", and when he plays upright, when he's fronting pucks, when he's coming out to the edge of his crease, you can see the hallmarks of a good goaltender. You can see the bones of a good goaltender. Kähkönen hasn't been helped by his defense a lot this year, so I think that is a lot of the problem. But I also don't think that he played his best hockey in that first, 20 games. We're at game, it's 9 or 21. So yeah, I don't think that we saw, a player that was confident and a player that really felt who could steal games for you. However, tonight I saw a guy that was confident, a guy that wasn't afraid to move around in his own crease a little bit, a guy who wanted to play the puck, questionably, no doubt. But again, I think that you can use this performance as a basis for future performance and go, Capo, if you can get us this type of performance, if you can hold us to a 9, if you can get a 9-12 or better type save performance on a lot of nights, that's gonna do you well. The team had been having issues scoring. Luckily, they got the four in the net and tacos you get, and they sent the paid crowd home happy with some tacos. But let's face it. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of multi-goal games by the Sharks, especially 4-goal type games. And so when you do get the offense, you do hope that the goaltending holds up, because again, it's so rare to get more than a couple of goals from this team. You gotta take advantage of that when you did, and Capo was able to do that. And I think you can use this as a teaching tool, and you can use this as a way for him to maybe try to assert himself as the starter, as the frontline starter again. Because I think Blackwood right now might have a little bit more of the coaching staff's trust in the way in which he's played versus, the way Capo has been playing. So again, when they're both playing well and when they're both pushing each other, that's when they're at their best. But I was really enthused and really optimistic by his play. So we'll see if that continues. We'll see which goaltender goes on Monday. They've got a quick little rest here, and then they're back at it on Monday. So it's going to be one of those 3 games in 4-night type situations, and those aren't easy. And the goaltending definitely takes a hit at the end of it, as far as the effort or the amount of energy that the goaltenders have available to them. But we'll see what David Quinn decides to do, if he rides a hot hand or if he decides to do a traditional goalie split in these types of scenarios. So with that, the team would end up winning tonight 4-3. And we had, just kind of quickly browsing over the team stats, we had 33 shots on goal by the Vancouver Canucks, 22 by the Sharks. The Vancouver Canucks would out-hit the Sharks 19-3. The face-off percentage, quite interesting, 54% in favor of Vancouver. However, it seemed as if the Sharks did enough of a job to maintain possession within their own zone and a lot of defensive zone starts. I think there were a few of those starts that you wish that they would have kept possession of the puck. But I think we've seen the face-off percentage be better. And I think, again, when you're missing Logan Couture and when you've got a Nico Sturm who's not operating on 100%, it makes it difficult. So we'll definitely see how that evolves. The face-off picture evolves later throughout the year. Let's see. Block shots. Sharks had 24 tonight. But again, Ian had mentioned this before. If you're blocking, if you've got the most blocks in the league, that means that you're not playing well. It means that you don't have the puck, and it means that you're continually losing possession of the puck. So it's all well and dandy to sacrifice your body and put your body in front of the puck. But at some point, you have to wonder if it's not just better to let the guy that has the proper equipment to front those pucks versus asking defensemen, asking forwards to come back and to continually give up their body and continually put themselves in harm's position. That's a tough ask. And I'm with Drew Remenda. Drew had said it a long time ago. He doesn't like shot blocking. Just get out of the way, let the goalie see it, let it front up, and pick up whatever the loose garbage is. But that's not the Sharks way of hockey, quote unquote. So, the team, does want to see that emphasis on shot blocking. We'll see. The debate continues to rage on whether or not it is a good idea or if it is deserving of merit or if it really just should be the goaltender, on those pucks. But we can have that discussion, in the chat if you'd like. We really appreciate all of your support and all of you coming out and chatting with us on the social media, of course on X, over on Discord. We do this show for you. We do this show for the Shark fans. And again, this season has been long. It's going to continue to be long, but at least we have a place in which we can kind of gather together, be a community, look forward to what's coming next for the team, and look with an eye towards the future and with an eye towards what kind of development the Sharks are going to have. One guy that we did need to give a shout out to, Quentin Musty, had a game yesterday evening. I don't know if you saw that up on the Sharks page, but yes, Quentin Musty just having a great night last night, and that's the type of stories that we want to be hearing from the Sharks organization, of kids, in their developmental systems, just racking up the points, gaining that confidence. Keep them away. Keep them away from, really trying to rush them and bring them onto the team in order to help a team that's not, poised to do a lot. Instead, keep them in their respective league or respective level, and really let them develop and really try to allow them to graduate into the next into the next league and into the next phase of development. Joseph, I want a 20-game losing streak. Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know that we'll get a 20-game losing streak, but, when it's all said and done, I'm wondering if, the team's going to either end up 31 or 32. I would, be given how we started the season, I don't see us doing better than 31, to be quite frank. But I think, honestly, I think the Sharks are probably the worst team in the league, just based upon talent and based upon where they're at as far as injuries go. Fully healthy, I would say this team is probably 30th, maybe 29th. But again, look at what's on this roster. It's kind of an AHL lineup. Outside of Hertl and some of the vets. But, it's what the team has, and it's what, we're kind of working through right now. There are a few pieces here and there that you would love to see, you would love to see the Sharks get valuable assets for, whether that is, a Mike Hoffman if he's able to heat up, or if it is a Hoffman Granlund who, could help out as a defensive piece. But again, the team is in the middle of the rebuild. And so right now, maximizing assets is going to be the most important thing for this team, and just continue to continue to add to the war chest, continue to add to the prospect pool. Maybe get lucky with a couple of young free agents or some young unsigned players or undrafted type players, but young. That's what I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on players who, are past their prime and who are not really adding anything to the future of the team. You do need to have veteran leadership, of course. You do need to have some guys who can, show the ropes to the younger players. But to be quite frank, I don't think Granlund really deserved to be dressed the first 15 games with how bad he played. And he's got to do a lot to get himself out of the doghouse he put himself in. We'll see. I'm wondering again if it's more of an injury fatigue type thing, because there are a lot of miles on those skates. But to me, that was a player who looked like he did not give a damn. Quite frankly, Michael Hanzus 2.0. So, again, good for him to get a goal. Good for him to do a great job. I think that we want to see more players who are here for the future than for those who are kind of at the end of the rope. So let's take a look here quickly throughout some of the chat here. So Joseph is saying, I want Celebrani, of course. I think we all do. Some talk about Kasper Hafatunen. We've had Ricky saying going to need a good skating coach for prospects. Yeah, I agree. I think that this is the Achilles heel of the Sharks development has always been, blind to the skating aspect and say, oh, we can teach that, or oh, we can make that better. But there's been kind of a little bit of hubris on taking players that didn't have great skills to begin with, the hubris to think that you could continue to have them develop their skating skills and be markedly improved. I just haven't seen it from our staff to develop strong skaters. Maybe it's something that we can work on. Maybe it's something we can add to, maybe go out and add some more development coaches. But maybe it could even be as simple a solution as saying, hey, Patrick Marleau, you skated pretty well. You might want to consider, being one of those development coaches for skating here for the Sharks and kind of teach your wares, that might be interesting. He was a damn good skater. He was actually very, I use this with all due respect, very pretty skater. He just had a very smooth and efficient glide. A guy who could turn it up quickly, but also had an efficiency of movement and never seemed like he was straining himself out there, and consistently quick. And I don't, if you remember early on in his career, he was a burner. Early on, very, very much a burner. So again, I'm with the chat on wanting strong skating and wanting prospects to be strong skaters when they get here, and work from a position of strength rather than working from that position of disadvantage, trying to help fine tune skating. Joseph saying, so let me get this right. None of y'all wanted Connor Bedard. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think if you looked at our little corner here on the web, I think all of us wanted Bedard. I just think that here as Sharks fans, we've seen, I wouldn't say shenanigans, but I will say I don't think the Sharks have been treated the best by the NHL. And we can go into a whole long diatribe about this, talking about, the expansion and Eric Lindros and not getting the first overall pick as was tradition for expansion teams. We can talk about the expansion dispersal draft that the Sharks entered into with Minnesota and how much of a cluster F that was. We could talk about how the Sharks have had seemingly higher picks be swept, from underneath the floor for them. So I'm not going to say that the system is flawed in any one direction, but I will say that there seems to be some power brokerage within the NHL, whether that's surface or under the surface. But I think you can definitely see preferential treatment in ways like who's awarded Winter Classics, or who's given certain access to certain outdoor games, or what teams are shown up on advertising, what teams are considered marquee. The Sharks have never, in my opinion, I think and I think we as Sharks fans can kind of all appreciate this, and very similar to the way in which Vancouver fans feel because of the Canadian teams. I think the Vancouver Canucks are the redheaded stepchild. I think you look at them and you go, that they seem to be ostracized a lot by the Canadian markets. Vancouver's kind of seen as a whiny and a kind of not ho-hum market, but I don't know. It never seems to kind of get the marquee-ness that a Montreal or a Toronto or hell, even Ottawa. And Calgary has been been a power broker at times. I think Edmonton, of course, has been power brokers at times. But I don't know if there was a reason why Bedard was drafted by the Hawks, but it sure does seem it certainly does seem very convenient that the Hawks kind of fell into the player. He goes to original six team, a team that has, been on a little bit of the decline. and to then be injected with a Connor Bedard, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow at times. But again, I look at our brethren to the south and the Kings and the Ducks, and I think that they kind of get the same type of treatment that the Sharks do. I just think southern West Coast kind of gets a bad rap if you kind of look at kind of a heat map of the NHL. If you're looking at the California, Arizona kind of corridor, we seem to kind of be belted, thrown into the Sun Belt type of discussion. But you look at Seattle, you look at the Portland area as far as hockey and how prevalent hockey is in those markets. Just look at the WHL, right? And how long the Winterhawks and Thunderbirds have been staples in that. I just think that in the California climate, it doesn't really it's not conducive to ice, during winters. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But again, there have been, for every type of example that we give of this seemingly nepotistic type organization that the NHL is, somebody brings up Detroit and Mikey J. I think you talk about an original six team that got hosed by some draft picks as far as draft positioning, and Detroit, I think, has been victim to that. Detroit to me is a very historic franchise. It's one of, it's an original six franchise, of course, but I think it's one of those extra special ones, especially with Gordie Howe playing there and just the longevity of his career. So I don't necessarily think that they are the, redheaded stepchild syndrome of it. But of the original six, they might be, as far as who has, the strongest kind of hockey cultures. I mean, you look at New York and the Rangers, you look at Boston, you look at Chicago, and those are seemingly larger markets, both from a TV perspective, but also from a hockey perspective as well. And I again, Jerry bringing it up, you can see how much the NFL cares about the West Coast by the fact that they only list games in Eastern time zone on the site. You're exactly right. I mean, again, we've seen it time and time again. And it's an East Coast centric sport. I will give you that. It's definitely a northern sport. But my God, I mean, the Sharks have been in the league for 32 plus years. And to not have a first overall draft pick, to have to scratch and claw for all of the good things that we've had, to be jobbed by calls here and there. I mean, I still am upset about the Milan Lucic, the Milan Mahalik, knee injury, or the Tomas Hertl knee injury by Dustin Brown, and how there was lack of any type of discipline supplementary for the player. Luckily, Tomas was able to recover, but who knows how that has damaged his career and what type of player he was versus now. Again, I don't want to say there's conspiracy, because I think that that's just a fool's errand to go down. But I will also acknowledge that it seems like there has been some nepotistic type tendencies within this league. And I think that that's just something you got to fight through. And it's something that the Sun expansion teams, or the teams in which expansion has come, to the southern states and to the western states, we kind of do have to kind of prove ourselves. And again, things like Teal Town USA is a way for people to come together, to express their opinions, to really be a part of a larger hockey community, and really give proper representation for our fan base. We have a very dedicated fan base. I was just looking at, the attendance tonight, 15,000. That was the paid attendance. Now, mind you, the arena probably looked about 2/3 full. But again, for as bad as this team is, and to see the tank, the crowds coming in at the tank, and be consistent, it's a good thing to see, and that shows you that the crowd that's there is savvy. They understand what's going on. They know it's going to be a tough slog, but we're here. We're here. We're passionate about our team. We're passionate about our city, and we just want to see the team succeed. So, for me, good things to take away from tonight. Some great play by the team. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because again, I only see 3 victories in the win column. So it's going to be, or excuse me, 4 now. It's going to be tough. Tough season. Still going to be a tough season. But again, you take the small victories where you can. You take the learning opportunities. I would love to see a Celebrani come in on the team. So you got to, you're going to end up being 31 or 32 to get that to happen. So I'm not saying that's what I'm rooting for, but I am saying I would love to see Celebrani come back home. Former junior Shark, be the chosen one to return the team to the playoff promised land. So I think we're going to start wrapping it up here. But in case you missed it and you want to check us out again, check us out across all of the podcasting platforms, that being the Apple Podcast Store, the Google Play Store, the YouTube Rewind, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Odyssey. If there's a platform, it's seemingly we're on it. But you can also check us out at tealtownusa.com. And again, thank you so much for joining me tonight and having a little bit of a conversation about the Sharks and where they're at. It's good to be back home in the States. I had been on a little bit of a vacation. Landi was on assignment for about a week and a half in Brazil. But it's good to be back, and you should be seeing some more regular updates from myself. But of course, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, check us out when we go live. And of course, if you're a long time, you know that we go live after every show. Every single Sharks game is when we do a show. So we're your post-game stop on the YouTube. So come check us out. So for all of us tonight, keep it real. Keep it Teal. Keep it real, Teal. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you after the game on Monday against the Washington Capitals. Should be a fun one.